I don't actually see it happening. It could, but like I said, you don't know that. At the timeline now, the timelines could shift, it could happen. But that's what they're actually really driving home right now. Yeah.
Well, you mean the infiltration of star seeds and
The
all that,
eradication of them, get rid
the
of them.
eradication.
We're a problem.
Right.
Yes.
Well, I'm glad to know that we're a pain in the Welcome, everyone. I'm so happy you're here because today's conversation is more than an interview. It's an invitation into a future where love is no longer complicated, where relationships are no longer built on fear, where families are no longer shaped by trauma, and where intimacy is not something we struggle with, but something we remember and celebrate. This is not a fantasy. This is memory. This is future. This is the next chapter of human evolution. And if you've ever felt that love was meant to be more than what we were taught, if you've ever felt that family was meant to be healing rather than wounding, if you've ever known in your heart that we were meant for something greater, then this conversation is for you. Joining me today in person is Dr. Andrea Martin, classically trained and degreed artist, educator, researcher, and galactic envoy, and a dear friend whose wisdom and encouragement helped bring Free Me Portal to life. Andrea brings the heart of an artist, the mind of an advanced academic, and the soul of a bridge between worlds. A lifelong contactee and Pleiadian walk-in, she carries conscious memories of her origins beyond Earth and identifies as a Pleiadian soul who incarnated into a human body to assist humanity during this pivotal phase of planetary evolution. She is a former university professor with nearly 2 decades of teaching experience, holds a classical fine arts degree as her first academic qualification, and has an academic background spanning neuroscience, psychology, education, and consciousness studies. Her creative training informs her multidimensional perception and her ability to translate non-linear galactic knowledge into human frameworks. Andrea is widely known for her groundbreaking work in disclosure education and for openly sharing her interstellar experiences, hybridization programs, off-world travel, and galactic affiliations. Through her YouTube channel, Growing Up Alien, a Pleiadian walk-ins story, she documents her experience and provides firsthand insight into humanity's role within the greater cosmic community. Her work focuses on galactic history and Earth's true origins, human genetic engineering and star lineage, hybrid programs and interstellar diplomacy, consciousness, technology, Earth's ascension timeline, and human sovereignty and liberation from control systems. And Andrea does not stand alone in this mission. Joining us telepathically as living presences are Eeka and Semjase, Ahel beings of Erra. Eeka is an Ahel ambassador from the planet Erra and a former interstellar military commander who now serves as a direct liaison between Earth and multiple galactic councils. Working with the Galactic Federation, he supports planetary sovereignty, timeline stabilization, and humanity's reintegration into the greater cosmic community. Semjase is a Pleiadian diplomat, High Council member, and long-term Earth contact specialist known to many through the Billy Meyer contact experience. She carries a lineage of wisdom that spans civilizations and timelines and brings the perspective of a culture that remembers humanity's future, a future where love is once again the organizing principle of civilization. Her mission includes disclosure of Earth's suppressed history, restoration of human sovereignty, education on universal law, planetary healing, and preparation of humanity for open contact. Together, they represent a lineage of consciousness that remembers who we are before fear, before distortion, before the Matrix taught us that love had to hurt. This is not contact. This is continuity. This is remembrance. So, with deep gratitude and great honor, please welcome the on-camera presence of Dr. Andrea Martin, artist, academic, envoy, and living bridge between Earth and the Pleiadian civilization. Andrea, welcome.
Hello, Renata. We've been so excited about doing this.
Oh, oh yes, we sure have. We sure have. And equally, I'd like to welcome Eeka and Semjase, and thank you for being with us. Is there anything either of them would like to say before we begin?
Let's see, I can. Well, they were looking forward to this. We were a little worried about Eeka because he had a little episode this week, but he's okay.
Oh,
It actually
okay.
ended up being better.
Yes,
I did a podcast on what he experienced and some
we're
of the
going to
healing.
talk about that. Yep.
Yeah, so whew, that was close. But yes, Semjase just happened to remember she just came in yesterday and she shared a few things that again she's like just some ideas that popped into her head about the situation and how the we're just gonna call them the cabal. Because she's like,
Mhm.
I want to call them. I said I know, so we're just gonna call it the cabal, okay?
Yep,
And
that's fine.
otherwise you're the Sith, the cabal, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
But yeah, so she just wanted to give a little bit of insight into some of their strategies towards the well, she's gonna say we're just gonna keep it recent. She says, yeah, the recent situation, within the past couple of decades, of what's been imposed in order to denigrate and deconstruct the population on this planet.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm happy to, of course, give Sannyasi the floor. For sure, for sure.
No, you never. She's loud. I'm like, never give somebody else on the floor.
Ah! Okay. Well, you know what? I'm so looking forward to this. As far as I'm concerned, she can have the floor, the ceiling, and all the walls. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Wait, like, and you can talk. She hears you, so
Okay.
she'll hear through me. So so you can ask her questions if you want anything. She's personal. So anything questions, they're all fine. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, fantastic. So thank you. And so today, as you and I discussed earlier, we wanted to sort of keep the theme of today's exploration about relationships and how they are on Erra. And you, as a living representative, you and Eeka and Semjase are living representatives of that culture, that understanding of what love is. So maybe we could just start off with talking about, and this is open to whoever wants to respond. So, what daily life is like on Erra, what on a Hell City feels like to walk through, what does nature feel like, what's the atmosphere of your world compared to Earth. How does community function in a coherent civilization? And sort of what's the overall emotional frequency on Erra? And I can see you smiling. So I think you're happy to tune into it. So
Um,
whoever wants to go, please.
she's pointing. Just for folks to understand, I'm not channeling. I'm telepathing.
Yes, that's right.
And how it actually works is it's quantum entanglement in the realm of physics, and they were able to prove quantum entanglement using
Yes,
quasars.
yes,
People back into all the scientific aspects of that. So this quantum entanglement here has to do with the brain waves and the
right.
scalar nature of brain waves. And essentially, what happens is I get a thought. What they call it is basically it's a thought transfer.
Okay. Yes.
So yeah. So Eeka wanted to bring forward one word. He says, well, it's unity.
Mm,
So, so what he'll do is he'll show me, show me the pictures, and because that's how your brain works, right? So it's
Hmm.
transfer. So like even though he speaks the word, just to explain to people if they have not
Yeah.
experienced, so he'll speak words, but at the same time, I'm getting the actual thought that he has in his head. So when we speak words, and this is why telepathy is far more complicated and far more clear in the
Hmm.
transmission of information because you're actually getting somebody else's thoughts,
And
so to speak.
feelings, right?
Feelings and yeah, we can share food, we can share smells, we can like, and that's what some people will notice that they'll be if they're with their family or partners, their visitor family or partners, they'll smell cologne or perfume or something.
Mm.
It's actually because they're smelling it, so you can smell it. So you see, one of the things he wanted to say that was he thought was meaningful was this concept because he said, I heard of unity, and we are a very diverse planet. So he's showing me all the different races, which I know. So should I? He's yeah. So I just threw it back there. I just want to explain to folks when he's talking about is that we have a planet, obviously, right? And it's large. Hence it's big.
Yes.
And on this, there are different ethnic groups, so what you would call here ethnic groups. And some of them, I'm just gonna use words that would make sense very quickly here for people.
Hmm.
Some of them look something Eastern European.
Mm.
That's one group. Kind of like if you want to go back to like traditional, like Poland or something like that, right?
Hmm.
The costumes, something they have something like so a tradi very much like that. Then we also have individuals who are what you would call here on this planet what they are indigenous. So you have Native Americans, people from Australia, people from Asia.
Mm.
So if you talk to any indigenous populations, whether they're different parts of Australia, as New Zealand and the Americas, they will all tell you that they're from the Pleiades. And
Mm.
this is, that's well known. And they look like that. So we
Mm.
have a large, diverse population on Erra. And then you have, I think, what most people would call the Nordics, which is a human term. We
Hmm.
don't use the word Nordics. So it basically doesn't exist. It's a human term. And it makes sense because it's for someone who looks like a Scandinavian person, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
they use that term if somebody meets an ET that looks Scandinavian, they say, but we're not, all blonde. We have, people have red hair, different colors of, brown hair. And there's no like breeding. So it's like people intermarry, so there isn't
Hmm.
any idea of, of a purity of a race, basically. So, but there is also what people are familiar with, the Ahel, which are the typically light brown, red-haired, blonde Nordic looking person. So that Eeka is that. He's
Hmm.
blonde.
Hmm.
And I do, I have white hair. But he says it's a cohesion. And he wants to nod, he's sending a nod over to Semjase. And it's he says that there's an overarching understanding and an interplay between all of the different what you call so he's going to use terms because he's obviously correct. What you call ethnic groups
Okay.
in that the differences are understood, valued, held, and celebrated. And there's no comparisons between different ethnic groups. We're all considered of one. He says what Semjase talked about yesterday was the concept of the fracturing. And when you take, he's good. Okay, so okay, wait. So you think about, he says, Abraham Lincoln. He said, "The house divided upon itself cannot stand."
Hmm. Hmm.
Because this is the technique that the Cabal used.
Right.
And again, he's sending a nod over to Semjase, where he says they had in order to fully infiltrate and weaken, and he says as a house would fall, he says take down the various populations on Earth who were not at odds with each other before the original colonization of the planet, the original like takeover of the planet. Um, he says that your concepts of race and ethnicity and culture are, he says, like basically created He says not that they're created in their arts and food, and he says if you think about culture itself, he
Hmm.
says,
Hmm.
but he says what was created or instilled, and I'm getting this like injected,
Hmm.
is the separation, the otherness that was then the key to unlock the desire of the cabal to pit each of these ethnic groups, cultures, nations against each other. He says that because they needed to fracture into little pieces, like you're trying to be breaking something. You break
Mm.
some cup,
Mm.
right? In
Mm.
order to, so when you have a cup and it's just a whole cup, it works great. He says this,
Mm.
he's happy with what he's thinking here. And Semjase stuff. He says, you have a mug
Yeah.
and it's great. He says you put your drink in there and it holds the water or whatever you're drinking. And he says, but then if you break that mug, it no longer can hold your water. So he's saying that was the goal behind the infiltration and the segregation and the secularism and the complete crumbling of Earth's different ethnic groups in order to divide, as he says, what you say, divide and conquer.
Yeah. So are you talking about on Era as well? This happened, or are you
No,
talking
no, no.
Earth?
On Erra, that he says the mug is still whole. He says that there was
Right.
no desire or intervention or infiltration from any outside group that was interested in fracturing or taking over the planet. But
Right.
you mean, I guess you say there was so we were involved in the Orion and Lyran Wars. So the people who live on Erra, so Erra was not an inhabited planet. I mean, we're going back, we had to terraform it because we were refugees.
Right. From Maya.
Yeah. So
Right. Right. Okay. So, but in general, the today in a different dimension, Era exists, and it's
it's high 4D.
high 4D, and it's fully there. If we could become 4D in our bodies, we could go and experience it, right?
You can experience it now.
Uh,
You could fly there now if we were allowed to leave the planet if we weren't in lockdown.
right, right, right. Okay, so um, this is what makes things really, really interesting because I believe me when I think I speak for everyone here. We'd all love to go and visit, you know, and
We'd love to have you. They're already um so Semjase was putting, she's like, because this is what she did and this is what I did in my other body. So we are involved in the rescue and rehab.
right.
Uh, and there are Terrans living on Erra now.
Oh, isn't that wonderful?
Oh
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, wow, that's amazing to know. Okay, so just before we get talking about everything else, I do want to bring up what you were telling me about Eeka's wonderful breakthrough and also the incredible transition that he's going to be undergoing into his path of elderhood. So congratulations, Eeka. That is a huge, that's huge, dude. You know? like,
Like, yeah.
like rock on. So, so can you explain a little bit about like what that designation is, how he's going to transition into that? I'm going to show a picture of you sent me what you saw when that was sort of coming into
Yeah. Yeah,
reality.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So how is that all gonna look?
Yeah. So I have a Facebook group and all the folks are welcome to join it. It's the Facebook group is primarily for people who are contactees, but doesn't you don't have to be a contactee to be there, obviously. Um, but it's Growing Up Alien After Hours chats it's on Facebook. And one of the members he mentioned, that he's been through, a lot of PTSD and that it's going to be in Ika's best interest to try to start to,
Hmm.
handle some of this. And it's war. I mean, his stuff is,
Yeah.
we all have CPTSD, but he has the war type. He's been in battle basically for 50 years, and he's not a warrior, even though he attained commander status. It's just not
Mm.
really, it's not who he is at all. And it was a real uphill slog for a very long time. And the traumatic flashbacks that he had were pretty bad. Like, and I think anybody who knows anybody who's been in the military understands it, just how bad the
Yeah.
military was. So yeah, I was having lunch and he comes in, he's I want to do this. I'm like, you sure? Because I'm like, I know I know I'm bad there. And he's like, no, I wanna like he's right and I want to try. So I'm like, all right, well tonight we're gonna give it a go and see, little, right?
Right.
Um, so I work with two it's a man and a woman and they're healers on Erra.
Okay.
And I bring them in sometimes for different purposes, and this was one of them. And they flank. So he laid down, and they flanked him just in case we don't know what was going to happen. And I told Will too. I mean, it's just be like he's like, all right, So for folks, Will is Linda, one of my friend Linda. We're all from
Yes.
Era. It's her husband.
Oh, okay.
His name is Will. He's a tall Pleiadian. And he lives
Okay.
on. Yeah. Um, so both Eeka and Will are stationed on a base in the Pacific Palisades. And it's underwater, also goes into the hillside there.
Okay.
So yeah, we set that up, and I had a singing bowl, and I'm like, all right, well, let's see what you can. I said something small that you can try to release. So yep, what popped up initially was I saw military. I didn't get into it. I didn't want to go into it
Hmm.
because like he would lose it.
Yeah.
So I just okay, the military pretty much cocooned it off, and I said you need to go. And it wasn't. It was hanging. I mean, it was. He was.
Mm.
It was funny. Unless for folks who've had PTSD, it's very hard to release it.
Mm.
It's like it ingrains. They actually showed
Yeah.
me several months ago, and I'm like I see a liver right pops into. I'm like what is this? The cat. I'm thinking is it
Okay.
the cat telling me she wants something different? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's all I see. And I'm like, okay. And they're like, that's where it is. I'm like, oh,
Um,
I'm like, so that's where he has it stored. So it's almost out. If you think, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. So I mean, the liver is a filter, and it was like, oh,
right.
that's where he's got it locked in his body. So
Mm.
I'm like, oh, so yeah, we're just pushing it out, trying to push it out. He starts to get nauseous. I'm like, well, we have to do so I use this is the same way we get rid of trash on Erra.
Mm.
The same way we get rid of trash and the same way you get rid of bodies. When you die, you get a body, you get rid of the body. Same thing.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
and it's the same way your toilet works. So everything's made out of atoms, right?
Right.
So we break something solid down, like this, say this is,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
This
Mm-hmm.
is trash, let's say. I mean, so we have a device that takes this and takes it and breaks it down into its atomic structure and
Okay.
release releases it. So it's a type of dismantling, right? And
So
so
it
I just
goes
said,
back out into the universe, back into
it just goes back into
into
the
the
air. Yep,
ethers. Yeah. Okay.
yep, yep. And so he started to pull it up, and I'm like, nope, nope, no. So we're gonna dismantle that. We're gonna dismantle that. Um, and then it was just like I'm like, you got to release this. You got to let it go. So again, it finally went. And then I asked, I was like, are we done? It's no, we're not done. Okay. He didn't say that. I just feel this like no. Okay. So we keep going. I'm like, maybe make sure we get this is gone and the wall's built.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm like, are we done? Are we done? No. Okay. So then I'm taking to this rainforest. Like, what the? Where are they? I'm thinking this is done. I'm gonna go, get ready. No, I'm like, okay, I'm in the rainforest here. Okay, what's this rainforest? And there's butterflies.
Mm.
It was quite lovely. It says, soft
Mm.
rainforest and butterflies. And I'm like, okay, where is this gonna go? And then a man came through, one of our shaman, and what they look like is we have different tribes, obviously, but this guy looked like maybe Hopi type style,
Mm.
older gentleman, Native American, what we would call Native American. He stepped in. I'm like, hey, how you doing? So I'm like what? Like now this is interesting. So then they pull Eka in, and the man, the Native American gentleman, he shows me Eka in the future as an elder,
Oh wow. Yeah.
the
Okay.
long, the
Wow.
long white robes. I'm like, I'm like, what? What? I said, oh, buddy, I said, you're going to have a shamanic death.
Mm,
And I'm like, this is going to be one hell of an acid trip for you.
yeah.
This is going to get, I'm like, wow, okay,
Mm,
all right. Okay. I'm like, I'm going to follow a little bit. So he comes in and this is all in the astral. And
mhm,
this
mhm.
guy takes them forward and they go towards like a cenote. And he just, starts to get, he enters the water and the ceremony begins.
Mm,
Gets like, ritual, very native, like it's people, something you'd see a Native American shaman,
mhm, mhm.
very, very, and I just, at that point, I left. And I said, okay,
Mm,
he's gonna do his thing. And well, interestingly enough, it wasn't an acid trip. It was actually quite nice. My
wow.
shamanic guests always were shit shows.
Right.
They like ripped apart, reconstruct, but his was quite lovely. And it was just that, like I said, people with a very indigenous drumming
Mm,
style chanting, and
mm.
this was just the first step in the road toward, and the next day, I mean, he is just beaming,
Yeah,
he's
of course.
and it released. So I happened to notice that a lot of the feelings that I had been having, he released. So they're actually his feelings they're on me,
Mm,
which was I'm like, wow, okay. So I actually feel my turn the lights getting dark here.
yeah, there you
So
go.
it was kind of
So do you feel better too? Like, do you feel lighter as
dude,
well?
I didn't realize how intertwined we were.
Yeah, all right.
That was quite a, like, wow. I'm like, dude. So he was carrying around, which I knew, a lot of fear and worry,
Mm, mhm, mhm,
sure.
mhm,
And this is, uh, I mean, it was fear and worry for me. And he had seen all the shit I went through, but I'm like, you went through worse. And but again, it's just the way it was. He is caring, and he held all this fear and worry, and it's like I felt the same fear and worry.
wow, yeah.
But I think he's now, maybe this is something I learned, and maybe stuff that can help other people is to see more macrocosm, to see a
Mhm,
bigger picture of
mhm.
our experience here is just temporary. This is one little experience, a little short blip of time in our, endless experiences in different
Yeah,
bodies.
exactly.
Not to be
Exactly.
so locked into this one experience, because we're just actors in a play here. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
truly exist in a wider,
Of
you know
course. Of course.
non-physical way. So
Of
he
course.
saw that, and that assisted
Mm,
his he had been clingy, so I think that assisted with that release of that, and it's not an easy thing, because
no.
we have our family back home on Erra. He has kids on Erra, and it's you tend to become anchored. You tend to have this iron weight upon you by other beings that
Yeah.
are in your current now. But all that's doing is creating unnecessary drama, and it's a viewpoint. It's
Right.
you can have a
Right.
perspective that's quite narrow and limited, and you don't owe anyone anything, and you can't. Life is so ephemeral
Mm,
that putting all of your eggs in one basket, so to speak,
mhm, mhm, mhm.
uh, it's all going to end, and I think that's something he had to kind of, I had to, we all had to have to kind of, so I don't see death, and he doesn't see death now. I mean, we don't see death like in the same way anymore.
Mhm.
So yeah, but it's a
Yeah.
release.
Yes. Yes. Wonderful. Okay. Well, thank you for explaining that, and kudos to Eeka, and
Yeah.
thank you to those wonderful healers that assisted.
Oh yeah.
And that's huge. So, what does it look like to be an elder in the in on Erra? So, what are the responsibilities? How is it? How does that play out?
Yeah, it's very spiritual, right? I mean, so they're guides. They have life experiences from everybody. See, people think that like people on other planets have, can see their past lives and their future lives, and that's like some kind of magic trick. Everyone can. So
Mm,
Terrans on this planet are ETs too. There's
mm,
a difference between them and us.
mm,
And you think about all the different people on this planet who do see their past and future lives. Every child does
mm,
until told not to.
mm.
So I don't, she Semjase just saying, go on, just get through it. I'm like, all right, okay. This is the yeah, I mean, this is part of the fracturing. This is part of the mind uh imprisonment, really.
Right.
Erasing of reality. So there's an illusion. People are walking around in an illusion. They think it's the reality, but it's not. It's programming.
Yes.
So
100%.
everything Terrans do on this planet basically is programming. And all children come into this planet not programmed. So there's this concept that somehow you're mind wiped. You're not actually. So you are, but you're not mind wiped at birth, and you're not mind wiped in young childhood. You're mind wiped by your parents
Mm. By their state of unawareness,
because they were
having
mindless.
previously.
Right, right, right. So when a child comes forward and says, "Hey, I saw, this or that," or "I'm talking to grandpa who's dead," and the parents say, "Oh, that's what," they give the kid
Mhm,
a shame complex, or
mhm,
"Oh,
mhm,
don't do that," or "Oh, that's weird," or
mhm,
so the child shuts it down. They said, "Oh, so I'm not supposed to be able to see past lives and future lives, or talk to animals, or
mhm, mhm. Yeah, right,
all
right.
the things that every single child does." And yeah, then they just shut it down. They're
Yeah,
the same way as like every little child draws until they stop.
exactly,
Every
exactly,
little child dances and sings until they stop.
exactly,
Programmed
exactly.
it.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. So bringing it back to
Yep.
Eeka being an elder. So this is something that he would be, I imagine, I don't know, but I imagine, and Semjase might want to chime in here as well. He would be put in a position where he would be required to nurture this kind of understanding in the youth on Erra,
Mhm.
right? To
Yep.
nurture and to develop their the aesthetics of how they see love, education,
Huh?
science, uh, governance, everything, how they interact, etc. I don't know. I'm just riffing. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
I mean, it's a shaman. Yeah. I mean, I know I can ask Mousy if she wants to chime in on some of this. She says, she says, yes, Renata she was spot on. She's, I know it is a tapping into the what a lot of humans call like a higher self. She says what it is she's showing me at. Okay. All right. She says you can explain it like a snow globe. You shake up a snow globe.
Okay.
She says you are in the center of the snow globe, and all the snow is going around you. Right. You're the little character in the snow globe. She says, and all of the she's yeah okay. So she's like what you might call akashic wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
She says your subconscious connection to the different dimensions in the ether. She's in what humans might want to consider like a path, like the path, she
Mm-hmm.
says. I'm just throwing some stuff back at her. What do you want to describe it as? So I'm just playing with her. I said, is it like, like a Buddhist monk? And she's like, no. I'm like, well, like, how can we do like I said, and I just told her, I'm like, what about the elves from Lord of the Rings? And she's like, yeah, that's about, I'm trying to just, put into images what it would be
Yep.
like.
Yep.
So it's more, so they're really like, there's a certain grittiness here on Earth where like shaman here and like the Buddhist monks, it's too like heavy.
Mm,
So it's not a good description. This has
mm,
almost, has a very etheric, almost lacy, very light quality to it.
mm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I I've never felt it here on this planet, on the crust. Inner Earth, you would. It's just there's really no like parallel here. due to the lightness of it. And I don't mean, we still have physical bodies there. It's not like they don't have physical bodies, but there's the best way to just like I mean it would and I threw this at her, but I mean it's like the like Galadriel and the Lord of the Rings, the
Mm, hmm.
elves, the higher elves, like that really light, gentle, like the energy is just almost like, oh God, like seeing through ice. Like you're skating on
Mm,
a pond of like clear, clear, clear ice, the clearest ice I've ever seen.
mm,
You can see through down to the clearest water.
mm,
Very, very light.
mm. I love that description. That's beautiful.
I felt it. I mean, it's like you have to feel it. It's just,
Hmm.
it's almost, I've never been high, but I don't know what it's like to be high. But I guess, people who get into a state of meditation where you kind of feel light in your body.
Yes, yes. Well, that I've experienced. Yeah,
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 something like that. It's a
yeah.
light in the body. You don't feel it here. It's really hard to get here because
Wow.
there's such a, like and I don't think it's the crust itself. It's like it's just the energy here is really dense.
Right.
Uh, But yeah, she's, and it's she says best, yeah, it's like if you can imagine the an elf from the Lord of the Rings, like Galadriel, as a guide through
Mm,
etheric understanding beyond time, but using time.
mm,
She says it's a way of, and they're pulling from, so you can feel, like she says, this vast experience. So the people who become these shaman or the
hmm,
elders
hmm, hmm.
are pulling from lifetime after lifetime
Right,
of experiences
right,
that molded them the same way, and it isn't all happy camp. I mean, and that's why Eeka's stepping in now. I mean,
right.
so like for Eeka, he's been trying to do this for millennia, but he went through fire right now, and it was going through the fire. Like he saw the worst of the worst of the worst,
Yeah,
soul crushing, soul breaking experiences,
yeah.
and you emerge from that, and that was the catalyst. Because he didn't know he was going to do this either. I mean, there
Mm,
was something in his soul that always apparently had wanted to do this. I actually, I've been this for many, many billions of years before.
mm-hmm,
I've
mm-hmm.
already, I've already been through it.
Yeah.
But so he would come to me in Egypt and Atlantis, because I was a wisdom keeper.
Mm-hmm.
He was the wisdom seeker, right? The
Mm,
apprentice,
mm,
the wisdom apprentice.
mm,
So this is she says, so you're pulling from the elder pulls from
mm,
vast, encyclopedia, almost AI of lifetimes, and they've crafted an individualized view of navigating physicalities and also navigating astral, she says, astral realms, life's purposes. Is there such a thing, um
mm,
it says invigorating and enlifting and sort of lighting the spark in your soul,
mm.
showing people, right? And also, for counseling people when they're going through, if they have questions or they're going through issues, or they have gone through events in their life, a death of a loved one, stuff like
Right.
that. They
Yeah.
they're there as spirit. I mean, ultimately it comes down to they're there as spiritual counsel.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I would imagine that basically what's transpired is it takes a long, 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 long time and a lot of experience and
Life,
wisdom
life,
gathering.
lifetime,
Yeah.
yeah.
White life
Millions
wisdom
of years.
gathering. Yeah. So because if you're going to be in a position to counsel others, you pretty much have to have seen everything, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm extrapolating here is that Eka, because of this recent situation that we have on Earth and his
Yeah.
volunteering and your being here, all of the trauma associated with all of that, thank goodness, may it all be released. You know,
Mhm.
I pray that it's all gone, um, and that now he can step into his role that he's always wanted to be and thrive in it, and
Mhm.
be the beacon of light and inspiration, I suppose, to others, and also just to hold the frequency of that wisdom in your on your planet, in your milieu. Is that right?
Yeah, no, it may not be this. It would be possible, but not likely it would be this lifetime.
Ah, so he's just
This is
begun
that's
the
first step for him. Yeah, this is it's
ah,
possible. I want to say it wouldn't be possible, but it's these are things that take many lifetimes to
wow.
and then you come back in. So how this would work and how this works everywhere. It's not just on
Mhm,
Erra. Things that happen on Erra don't just happen on Erra. They
mhm.
happen everywhere. So
What happens on Era stays on
yeah,
Era.
yeah, well, that yes, some of what happens on stage. So absolutely. But it's like so when you go through this lifetime, right? So wherever he ends on this lifetime,
Okay.
when he comes back in, and he'll probably choose to come back in as an air hell, right? It's just like
Mhm,
me.
mhm,
Like I don't
mhm.
need, so I'm actually lowering myself to reincarnate. So I realize now that what I'm doing is reincarnate when I reincarnate on Era, I don't need to be physical anymore, but I'm choosing to
Mhm.
reincarnate in a very low density
Okay, yeah.
for him. It's to help him. That
Okay.
makes all the sense now when we go back to why did I come here? This is a shit show and sucks. Oh,
Yeah,
100%.
yeah, yeah.
No, it's like, but I think now it makes sense because this was the catalyst that had to happen to push him and we're all here
Mm,
together to push ourselves into
mhm,
the designs and goals, according to us on our planet,
mhm.
that our particular soul bubble plasma consciousness, whatever you want to call it, wants to experience.
Right, right. Okay, so I want to talk about how you are both an aspect of one another, like a split consciousness. But before we do that, I wanted to just set Eeka up in terms of his accomplishments and where he's at right now, in order, and Semjase as well, in order to speak about the idea of love on
Mhm.
your planet, because that's really the theme for in my hopes and dreams. If humans can understand love in the
Mhm.
way that it is practiced and celebrated on your planet, and yes, we're all one, it's all happening simultaneously, all of that is available in the field. So my hopes and dreams through this liaison of the four of us today is to bring that connection together and to make it tangible and understandable for anyone watching this interview, to be able to hold themselves to this idea. I don't want to say level because I don't want it to seem hierarchical, to
No, no.
this depth
Yeah.
of understanding of what we are evolving into, in terms of how we interact with one another, what love is, what relationships are, what they're based on, how we raise our children, how, and of course, I want to talk about all the part, the courtship and the sensuality. And, from what I understand, errands are particularly sensual, and it has to do with the way that your skin is composed, et cetera, et cetera. So I just back it up, Renata. So we're gonna go back to how I was trying to set Eeka up and Semjase
Yeah.
to speak about love from their perspective. Give us some wisdom coming from that wise elder heart of hearts that both of them
He said,
carry, and you, right?
neither of us are wise elders.
Well, no, I know, but there is an aspect of you that is wise, right? And because you've been there and you've lived, thousands and thousands of lifetimes. So I'm
So is everybody else. So is everybody.
yeah, exactly. But I'm still counting on your perspectives because they are what we're aspiring to to come forward, just so that we can understand them a little bit more. So, in terms of love, do you consider it an emotion, a frequency, a field, a state of consciousness? Is it the organizing principle of your civilization? How does it shape science, governance, family? And is there such a thing as loneliness on Erra?
Yeah. Um, well, she's okay. So Semjase was kind of talking over you a little bit.
Oh, sorry.
No.
Okay.
She's like, "Why was it?" But she was like, she says, well, she says, Renata, there's nothing wrong here. I mean, there is nothing that Erra has that doesn't exist here on Earth. So there isn't a sense of they have something that the people on this planet lack. She says, what's been happening here is an
Mm,
artificial overlay that's created social incompetence.
mm,
She's not that the people themselves are socially incompetent. She says, but this overlay is one for for social incompetence.
mm,
For she says the social, economic, political um, structures that were I forget the almost a sense of being like as you're saying is like, it's almost like
so you mean it's like an infiltration?
and but I'm getting the sense of almost like a vice.
Okay.
This would, she says she's yeah, and she'll say that. She says this is a vice that was imposed on this planet. So what you're actually seeing, and she says this would happen, and it is happening, and it has happened, but she says this would happen on any planet under the same pressure.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And she says it's an artificial vice in order to maintain control of the population here for nefarious purposes.
Mm,
So she says love here on Earth is a danger to the system.
right.
They need to maintain, and she talked about this yesterday, and she says, yes, they need to maintain that fracturing, the fracturing of self, the fracturing of culture, the fracturing in religion, the fracturing in language, the fracturing in the economy, the fracturing in survival. So it is a false, she says demonic, I think, yeah, demonic uh competitive
Mm-hmm.
structure. She says like a spider web
Yeah.
that's been placed all across the entire planet.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And this has distorted and perverted the natural way in which any, most, right? Yeah, well, right, as in what humanoids would be living their lives. So she's
Right.
saying, what you see now, she says, obviously, she showed me what his, yeah, the people on Erra, the hell, right? And the other different races that are on Erra. She says, we were scattered, we were refugees, and many went to different planets where they were, right? Of course, had a place, took a man, blah, blah, right? Yeah, she says, but we were subjected to violence, she's saying, but we
Mm,
were never subjected to this kind of, I'm going to say, she said mental torture. I'm like, yeah, it's the psyop, yeah. She
mm-hmm.
says, the brainwashing, the programming,
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
breeding,
Right.
epigenetics. So it isn't that there isn't anything wrong with people here. It's she,
It's
it's
the
just
matrix overlay. Yeah.
yeah.
And the
Well, she
program.
said, it is. She says they planted the seeds, and then that got the ball rolling.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially, the people on this planet are maintaining that.
Mm-hmm.
She says, so there isn't the matrix, she says, from her perspective. Um, she says, and that's a human term. We don't use that term.
Mm.
But she says it's essentially just I say it's mind control. She says, yeah. She says, she says it's just I just said, mind control.
Mind control. Okay.
It's I said it's Stockholm syndrome. She says, yeah. I said,
Mm.
it's basically a captive group that's being made insane ultimately
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mentioned, you forget, yeah, she's, then I said that, the poisoning, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
There's corruption of
On
the physical
all levels.
on all levels. Yeah. So she's saying it isn't like they're lacking in something. Although I said, well, she's like, yeah, she's like, that is the epigenetics, and that was what they wanted to do. And
Mm-hmm.
this is a concern. I'm going to say this. I know it's just um, because of all the, it's just centuries of uh, how do you want to phrase that? um, okay, she wants to. I'm going to tie this into. She says what Renata was talking about of giving of children and love. Okay,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
she also wants to share the fact that Erra I mean is not perfect, right? Okay, she says
Mm-hmm.
it's not a perfect situation. There's there's we're just talking in overarching terms. Okay,
Right,
so she's
right,
not everything on Erra is like, or I'll say butterflies, and she's it's not all perfect.
right,
No, we have we wouldn't need elders if there.
right.
So there's divorce, there's all that stuff, same shit, right? Okay, anyway, but
Mm-hmm.
so she said, okay, they removed the natural. She's just talking about now having a baby. She's going to talk about this because she says this is pivotal to understanding
Okay.
the the step that was taken by the cabal. We're just going to call it the
Mm-hmm.
cabal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So um, they couldn't have the epigenetics running through lineages where they were negentropic, where they were beneficial, where they were, I don't want to use the word improving, she's maintaining. She says where mating, breeding, I don't, yeah, well, she's just called where breeding, right, was in a natural state for the
Mm-hmm.
races here, where it would, she says, just automatically create out of love, negentropic, whole children who would be nurtured and cared for, right? She says
Mm-hmm.
that's not of any benefit to the cabal
Mm-hmm.
who wanted to maintain a subservient colonized slave race.
Mm-hmm.
So if that was allowed to continue, it would always be butting heads with the programming.
Right.
She says, so what they did, then there was genetic interference, just to say that, but
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
she says, but ultimately, she says, they encourage, so you have your religions and your political structures. She says they're going way back hundreds of years ago. She says thousands of years ago. She says your political. She says it's big. It was there for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're very patient. Yeah, she says, and it rewarded. So you had. She says, well, one of the things they did was create concept of sexes, not just male and female, but of an overlay of a false understanding of what male and female is.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
she says that was the first structure,
Yeah.
was to basically create a concept of male and female. That wasn't one that was natural.
And it was meant to never mesh together,
Oh
right?
yes, right. Yes, yes. She says part of it had to do with the political structure where they needed to, she says, suppress the natural female
Oh,
because that
big time.
was. She says, to be clear, that they suppressed the natural male and they suppressed the natural female.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because both of those, in their balanced way, she says would be would heavily detrimental to the agenda. Okay.
Well, there would be no suffering because everybody would just be naturally fall
Yeah.
into their divine masculine self, their
Yeah.
divine feminine self. They'd know immediately what to do, how to innately raise their children. I mean, it would all be pretty simple, I think, which is why I'm trying to get to this understanding of, I mean,
Right.
we know how messed up it is here. I appreciate that you're saying that innately we're not that messed up. These are the
No, no, she says no,
overlays.
of course not. No,
Yeah,
no, but you
these
were
are the
bred.
overlays. But what I'd like to get a sense of, and I've heard you speak about this before, and I also from Eeka,
Yeah.
um, is what it feels like. Um, how does that feel like in its purest form? Love, how does it feel like without all of those distortions?
Okay, so Eeka says, well, we don't know what it feels like in its purest form. And he says, we can't put, he says, Renata, don't put us on pedestals. We're not on pedestals.
Mm-hmm.
He says, so we wouldn't know that. He says, you don't need to feel constrained by the distortion. He says you're free at any moment to release yourself from that.
Mm-hmm.
This is then Semjase, she's saying the same thing. This is kind of what he says, and others on earth. He says, this is the mission of so many on earth
Mm-hmm.
who are embodying what it's like to live without the distortion.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a very challenging decision, he says, and it's very hard to do. He says, and Semjase, and they're both talking about. And he says, and this is because of the survival aspect. He says, so on
Yeah.
Erra, is on Erra, we don't have to, we don't fight each. We're not trained. It's not part of the culture to compete with each other for survival.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he says there's no manufactured lack, right?
Mm-hmm.
He says
Mm-hmm.
so everyone has food, everyone has clothes, everyone has a house, and everyone is essentially free to express themselves, to
Mm-hmm.
find a career or whatever, that he says the whole aspect of life, he says, is not impeded. He says that's the challenge here. He says because you have that false um, concept of competition. He's showing of status. He says we need to erode. He says that's not you. He says he wants to be clear that he says the concept here is not to superimpose Erra on Earth or superimpose another, nation or culture on Earth. He says
Mm-hmm.
he says is to peel away like the plaster and
Mm-hmm.
peel away the rotting,
Mm-hmm.
shell to that's yeah, okay. So he says, yeah. This is like a rotting shell, a rotting cocoon that the people on this planet have been kept in. They can't get free. And
Right.
he says, so that's what needs to be pulled off.
Mm-hmm.
Because once that gets pulled off, and once we remove that lack, fear, struggle, and people are struggling. I mean, it's really bad here.
Mm-hmm.
He says once that gets pulled away, he says that then they can become the butterfly. He's showing a butterfly coming out of the cocoon.
Mm.
So the Terran can actually reemerge as who they are. So
Well, yeah,
you're just
let's,
you're
yeah.
just, you're just saying there's a fake, violent, heavy um, manipulation, programming, brainwashing
Mm-hmm.
um, across this planet
Yeah.
that was seated there, but then maintained inside the Terran population. So the Cabal actually doesn't really have to do much now. I mean, they're doing some poisoning and stuff like that. They don't have to do a lot
Mhm.
because they've just planted this dark seed.
Oh, it's just self-perpetuating. Yeah.
Exactly. So and that was on purpose. That wasn't fake. I don't know if there's something that Jimmy actually, I forgot what I said. I forgot what you said yesterday, so that's why I wrote it down. Yes. But she was saying, and this is part of that fracturing of communication as well.
Right.
So where we're headed now, and what's been going on very heavily,
Mm-hmm.
is to make sure that, and they've used chemicals for this too, in messing with the prefrontal cortex, but
Mm-hmm.
is to use psychology with the internet, with AI, to make sure the humans no longer interact together, to create issues, to create fissures within
Mm.
the interaction between members of a race or species.
Mm.
So they've been breaking down communication for a long time, but now they're really, really breaking down communication.
Okay.
This is the next step to the complete lockdown of this race.
Yeah. So that given, and I don't wish to put you on a pedestal in terms of um because yeah, not in that way. However, there is a different way of looking at love. So for example, you were explaining, Andrea, I was watching your video yesterday. You were
Oh,
saying that Eka wants to be Linda Moulton Howe's first
yes. The
and
first alien, right?
and
Yeah.
first alien. Yeah, well, can I
Fine.
get
No.
on the list too? I want to be on the and and so he said, you said, Ika said he wants to kiss her on the forehead. And if that's not appropriate, he'll kiss her on the hand. And my heart just melted. That's so lovely, so endearing. And you were talking about how, you don't see one another in terms of the physical body, etc. That's so base, right? So I'm trying to get to
We
this.
do. I mean, I think, yeah, that no, he's like, he likes women. No, no,
Yeah.
no, that no, no, we are in physical, but no, no, the physical body, absolutely. The physical body is the manifestation.
Hmm.
So in epigenetics, right?
Hmm.
So when you have a baby in love, not
Hmm.
lust, not
Hmm.
lack, not, so
Hmm.
this is what Semjase is trying to say here. She said, yeah, she says, this is the tool though, right?
Hmm.
They want to fracture everybody where no one can communicate and interact. That's
Hmm.
how they control.
Right.
She's, and that's what they've done to love.
Right. So I want to present the model though, that what is it like without all of that distortion? What is it? What can we remember if
Yep.
in fact we have this innate capacity?
Yes, they do.
What can we remember to be and how can we get there? That's my question.
Yep. Who wants to? She want him to talk.
You guys both
they're,
all of you talk.
they're talking. We're all like,
Yeah.
ah.
I can see all the arms flying in the air. There
Yes,
is.
yes.
Oh,
Well, again, like both of them want to say, well, they're not, right, we're not perfect on Erra. All they can do is express their personal opinions, right? So
exactly.
there is not a perfect thing on Erra. People have to be careful. If contact happens, people need to be aware, all right, of who
Yeah.
they're in contact with, because
Right.
everybody has different understanding, not everybody. So anyway, um, I'm just talking to Eeka now. Do you want to talk about, well, we met in a little different arrangement. So Semjase has a special man too.
Okay.
Um, he's actually here on Earth.
Okay.
So
Oh,
yeah. Um, okay, so Eeka said, okay, first you have to remove all of that false overlay. Okay.
exactly. That's where I want to go.
That
I
has to
want to
get,
know what it's like without all of the junk. Yeah.
you just pull it away. Just take it away and feel into who you are as a person. What's natural to you. So I actually had this happen. So let me ask you this. I actually, so I can, he wants me to, okay, so I can express what I felt when that happened to me. All right. Because I'm actually coming through the
Mhm.
Terran experience of being in a very
Right.
lovely place.
Exactly.
And I know what that feels like. And I didn't believe in love
Exactly.
because I didn't think there was love and there's no love, right? Because relationships, opposite sex relationships, and not, so when we talk about love, it's not necessarily about opposite sex, right?
Yeah.
It's about love.
Yeah.
Any relationship you have, that communication with another person. All right.
Yep.
That's not here.
Right.
People think they, and people who are contactees will tell you, a lot of Terrans think they know what love is, and I can't speak for every Terran. It's not. It's more than that. It's a
Yeah.
lot higher than what they think it is. So
That's where I
uh,
want to go. Yeah.
what Semjase did was show me femininity. Okay,
Mm.
so this is key. Um, and we have gay people as well, so it's nothing to do with that,
No.
right?
Yeah.
I just can't speak from their perspective because that would be wrong. I don't know.
Hmm.
We need people who are gay contactees to step forward and explain what their perspective and how it
Yeah.
works.
Absolutely.
So for me as a woman, that's all I can give as a perspective.
Yep.
And I can tell you what it feels like in Eeka's body too. So Semjase began to mirror basically
Mm.
behavior for me to get me to understand and tap into and pull up from the well what female is, because I had been so objectified, I guess.
Hmm. Hmm.
This is probably only something women will understand.
Yeah.
Uh, it's feeling like a toaster. It was just, and it was dangerous. I mean, I think as a woman, this is something we don't have on Erra, but something that you have to be aware of as a female. Sadly, and I'm just going to put this out there. Look, the sex slaves that are sold off planet are going somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
So there are debauched Las Vegas type areas in space. All right. So not everybody's wonderful upstairs by any stretch
No,
of the.
no.
So yes, women on Erra and men on Erra understand the danger, unfortunately, of being female. So that's everywhere.
Mm.
On different, I see it as a scale, okay? And that's the way we have to understand that. So they protect their women because they know when women go into different places, that's why you will largely see male ET down here. And if you see a woman, there's a male escort or two male escorts.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm.
Okay, so anyway, she's like, for me to fully, she says at this sanctuary director. So when she was, I knew what she was doing. She's like, so when she was pulling that feminine nature out by modeling it, right?
Right.
At the same time, Eeka stepped in. So I had a masculine
Mm-hmm,
energy there and a masculine energy of desire.
mm-hmm.
Now, this is natural,
Yes.
right? It's natural for a female to desire a certain male, and it's natural for a male to desire a certain female. Or in his case, all. He's like all female. He's just, he's the guy because he grew up with largely women. And he's just like the chick friend guy. Ika's like
Okay.
that's his personality. So he just loves her. He's used to it. He's like the chick friend,
Okay.
all the women want to be hanging out with him because he's just so
So
cool.
lovable. He's just so
Yeah,
lovable.
yeah. So but when you feel, and this is what triggered it. So Semjase comes to me and she's all like girly and she's like, "You're gonna go there and we're gonna dress you up," and I'm like, "Bleh," and like, oh, and I'm feeling her because it's telepathic, so I'm feeling her and it's kind of
Mm,
nice.
mm,
I'm like, this is kind of nice. And then he comes across with immediately with desire,
mm,
anchored,
mm.
right? So this desire that he shows is natural, right? I mean, there's a natural essence to it.
Mhm,
He's,
mhm,
we are paired. So there's that essence.
mhm,
There's that essence of attraction.
mhm.
And this is something terrorists have to understand. This was taken from them. So they're basically trying to uglify and orc the species. I'll be clear.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
Trying to orc up the species, right? They're making them uglier. And that's because it pulls away natural attraction.
Yep,
So
that's
people
right.
ask, why are the Pleiadians so beautiful? We're not breeding for beautiful.
Yeah,
And beauty is a matter of taste, right?
yeah.
We're not breeding for that. But what we're doing is, and this is the case for many whole, natural ET communities, okay, is that the natural selection process, what the beings on that planet desire, is propagated. Okay. If that probably resonates with people, okay. So that's why what they're doing here on Earth was dirtifying sexuality and breeding.
Well, ultimately, aren't they? I mean, that's another subject. I don't really want to divulge too
Entropic
much,
breeding.
but we're going into the transhumanist agenda. Then they're going
Yes,
into
that's all part
the that's it's all a slippery
that's
slope
yep,
down,
correct.
down, 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 down to where there is no more any kind of divinity, identity, or
Right.
uh,
Exactly.
it's
Yes.
just a
Semjase,
tool.
she says right now you're at the top of the roller coaster.
Mm, ooh,
So yeah,
okay,
it's really bad right now.
okay.
So like, and this is something that most terrorists have a real problem with, and they don't
Mhm,
understand that it's natural, that attraction,
mhm, mhm,
that being attracted to the opposite sex and their beauty.
mhm.
So they on this planet, all things beautiful, all things innocence, all things pure have been destroyed.
Yeah,
Which is
exactly.
why for the kids.
Exactly. Exactly.
So talking about beauty and having a beautiful body, having respect for your body
Hmm.
makes the body beautiful.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
that is this, it's sort of like if you think of a flower, you think of a rose bush or any kind of flower, they're beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
A rose bush isn't making itself small.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, I shouldn't be attracted to any. I shouldn't be
Mm-hmm.
beautiful. I can't make myself beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, roses don't do that. They come up, they're like, burn, here's the flower in your face,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah,
like,
of course.
I
Of course.
smell good, I look good. I mean, this is, you see this all over nature.
Yeah,
Look at
exactly.
any animal, right? They display how beautiful they are. Beauty is everywhere in nature.
Mm-hmm.
Only Karens on this planet hate beauty. They want
Mm-hmm.
to destroy it,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
which is why we have to protect our females if they come here.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
of the hatred.
Mm-hmm.
And I can feel this because I can read minds. I can feel this largely in men more than women. A deep anger and hatred.
Yeah, well, they're hating themselves because
They're hating themselves.
they're
Yeah.
so distorted and so
There's
out of
this
alignment,
distortion.
right?
Yes. Yes. There
So
you go.
out of alignment, and it's the purity and the innocence
Purity and yes.
that
Yes.
is the target. And when you destroy someone's purity, when you destroy their innocence, they're lost, and
And
you
that's part
start
of
to
our
control and manipulate them, right? And shovel them into
right.
the agenda that they have, right? So again,
So what Eagle was
I don't
saying
want
is,
to
I
focus
just
on, yeah, please
yeah.
go ahead.
So there's no so we don't have body shame. This is also part of this, right? Okay.
Mm, mm,
Now we wear clothes because it's just, protect your body, right?
mm,
And also it's a way of adorning your body. It's,
mm,
he loves clothes. Semjase loves clothes. He likes to adorn. And he likes to look nice. He likes to dress himself up and be like, do you like this? I'm like, no. I can't carry a flour sack. But it's like, yeah, he wants to adorn himself for me.
mm,
Say like, I'll adorn myself. He enjoys that.
of course.
So but we don't have body shame. So being naked means nothing to us. So
Mm,
for him to see a naked woman, I mean, he sees a naked woman, but it's not,
mhm.
there's no dirtiness, there's no
No
perversion,
objectification, none of that stuff. Yeah.
nothing at all, nothing. Now there's that, I mean, it would depend, right? I mean, so we do bathe, we go out and where we are in the rural areas, we swim naked. And you'll see this in indigenous cultures as well. There's not a
Mm,
problem there because there's nothing wrong with it.
it's completely normal.
It's completely natural, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So from his perspective, so I'm just going to pull in like what he sees.
Mm-hmm.
Like he loves women. I mean, he loves their, but there's no sexuality. Does that make sense? It's not
Mm-hmm.
sexual.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's the purity. The purity
Yes,
hasn't been
yes.
destroyed. That's the point that I'm trying to make, right? The purity
We don't have,
hasn't
there's
been
no
destroyed.
porn, there's no
Right.
sickness, there's no like that kind of,
Mm-hmm.
because I can't speak, we don't have porn, I'll just say that. But
Mm-hmm.
there'd be no need for it. No one would want it. That's the key point.
Mm,
So vile,
mm-hmm.
so gross. So there's no like, and I think that comes out of body shame.
Mm.
So there's no
Well,
shame.
and an industry that
Oh,
makes a lot of money,
right. So yeah, there's no weirdness. And I think that's part of that. So we would
Mm-hmm.
have no, that's the thing. It's like we don't have porn on Erra because no one would want it.
Mm.
It wouldn't serve any purpose. What would it,
Uh-huh.
it would just be gross. It would be like, it's
Yeah.
like rat flavored ice cream. Like no one
Yeah.
would, you know what I'm saying? It's just like who would want that?
My
And
cat.
the
My
cat,
cat.
right? Exactly. So there's none of that. Um, and the thing that's key here is I think on Earth there's a fear of say being naked in front of men.
Mm-hmm.
I
Oh
mean, you would
yeah.
be terrified, right? I mean, you would
Oh
feel
yeah.
really bad.
Oh yeah. Especially, when you go to the gym and the women are just like,
I know
oh
I never
God, no, no, no. But the guys are all taking pictures of themselves, their muscles.
that's not something you see.
No,
Never
women,
see.
no, no, it's like, oh no, 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 no. Yeah,
There are no
that's been
dick, there are no
ingrained.
dick pics on Era.
Yeah.
It's like that. There's none of that. I don't personally
Yeah,
understand.
I don't get that either. Yeah.
So it's hard for me to just describe it. I don't understand what's happening in Terran minds. So we would have nothing like that.
Yeah.
So a woman seeing a naked man would mean nothing as well.
Mhm,
Like so there's just no, it's
mhm,
just weird. I mean, I don't understand that. So it's like he sees like, but like as there's a purity of attraction. Okay. So like
Mm-hmm.
if I'm grocery shopping and I see a lady who's quite attractive and
Mm-hmm.
oh he like and I'll be like and he would be like he like you would look at a painting.
Exactly. But
He
that's
has no
lovely. Yeah,
he
that's
has no
lovely.
sexual desire for her. Does that make that? See, I
Yeah,
think he controls
right.
his sexuality, and I've already talked about this, so I'm not going to be. I was raped by the guys in the
Mm,
as a child in my life.
mm,
Okay,
mm, mm,
so I have a real problem in my body with I cannot have sex
mm, mm, mm,
with him or anyone.
mm,
So obviously I wouldn't. I'm only going with my husband,
mm,
but
mm,
so he and I brought it up to him. I'm like, do you want to have, do you feel the need? And he's like, no,
mm,
no, not at all. He says, no, we are not going to do that until you're healed.
mm,
Because that's one thing I don't understand about Terrence is this desire for sex. Like
mhm,
just,
mhm,
it's like,
mhm.
and that's,
Yeah.
we don't have that. He doesn't have that.
Yep.
And I don't have that. I've
No.
never
Right.
had that. And we don't need, and this is something Terrans might want to start exploring. Like I said, I don't understand what the Terran race would be like in its pure form,
Mhm.
but we don't need to have physical sex to experience sensual connection to someone. Okay, that so
Exactly.
most of the connection that I have with Eka is through the roof, off the charts, celestial,
Mm,
and it's just through energy. It doesn't even have to be through touch. It's through energy.
mm,
So a lot of the sexuality that we experience on Erra is not actually that, although it is.
mhm,
Uh, it is through, just it is love. I love him beyond like I have never felt love like this.
mhm. Now we're getting somewhere.
And it's safety. It's
Exactly.
it's in Semjase, she feels the same way for her man.
Mhm,
And it's being together, and this is part of she's saying communication. I'm like, I know.
mhm,
It's
mhm,
it's um and Eka you talked about this last time, like where it comes from, but this intense sense of being with someone that you feel so incredibly safe with. And I describe it like, okay, if
mm,
you have a pet, people have cats and dogs, whatever you have, goat, horses, and everything, right? So say you have a house pet, a cat or a dog, right? Like that's you have a relationship with that dog or cat that's fully safe. Like you
mhm.
go in the shower with you don't care if they show up, right? And you know, what I mean, there's a cat if you're on the toilet for some reason that's a
Yeah.
magnet. But I mean, there's no shame. There's no nothing. It's natural.
No, it's actually, I learned recently, as an aside, how intelligent animals are. When you're,
Oh,
because my dog and my cat always come into the bathroom. Now, telling the
okay.
truth here, you know why? Because they love you and you are vulnerable when you are. So
Yep.
they are there to protect me while I'm
Yep.
doing my business.
Yep.
If that isn't love, right?
That's love. That's what I'm talking
That's
about.
love.
That's the safety.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the safety. And he is
Yeah.
so like I've never felt that my entire life until him.
Mm-hmm.
I always knew he was there,
Mm.
but I was so lost in,
Yeah.
survival,
Yeah.
you know. But and it was, and I tell this to people because this is kind of what we do on just my channel is all about is helping people navigate this. But it's very lonely.
Mm.
He's been It's very lonely
Yeah,
for that.
exactly. Yeah.
It's very lonely for all of us not to have that deep love
Mm-hmm.
in the physical with us. So that's what it is. It's not about manipulation. It's not about and like we don't understand marriage. I say we're married, but I don't understand this. You need to be like chained to somebody, like, and then the whole marriage ceremony of you owing somebody your body. You
Exactly.
never owe anyone your body.
Exactly. But you see how this, and I wanted to talk about this. So this is part of the distortion, right?
Oh,
So
well,
you're
that's the
saying that
energy.
you feel safe, right? So in a relationship where that's based on true love, purity, and innocence, you can do whatever you want. It's and that your partner is going to, if you're looking at someone, if you were to look at another man, Andrea, and you would say, oh yeah, like he's kind of cute, like Eka would just laugh. right? It's not a big deal. But
No,
on Earth, it's like, what are you doing? You're not allowed to look at and it's this sense of ownership, like you were saying. And
yes.
it and love is actually supposed to be expressed through restriction. How the hell is that supposed to work?
Well, and
Right?
that's what Semjase was building to.
Yeah,
She says, that's how they did the entropic breeding.
right.
Where it's in exchange, well, so, and even that goes into today, right? Where it's violent, it's
Hmm.
lacking, it's in desperation,
Hmm.
it's in settling.
Yep.
So most breeding, this has been done on purpose. Most breeding has been done, okay, a woman needs, usually maybe it's a woman needs money,
Yep.
or someone needs something. And then there's the idea of the forbidden aspect of sexuality or the
Hmm.
grossness of sexuality.
Hmm. Hmm.
Most
Hmm.
cultures have that.
Hmm. Hmm.
And the development of the man as this rabid, rutting elk that got to stick his dick wherever he can.
Yeah.
Can't control that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
And
that's
that's okay. It's okay that they
and
can't
it's
control.
not real. It's a brainwashing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so that's part of this violence, right? There's this being that's violent, and it's a violent sexuality. It
Hmm.
can't be controlled.
Yeah.
And the woman is this, dangerous, forbidden,
Hmm.
lecherous,
Hmm.
witch-like creature,
Hmm.
that
Yeah.
has to be subjugated,
Yeah.
or
And
her.
if somebody is attracted to her, if she's a wife, it's her fault for being
It's all,
attractive
it's all
to
mind
them.
control. It's yeah, that's nuts. They're crazy. It's crazy. It's a lunatic asylum.
It is a lunatic asylum.
This was done was to create epigenetic lines of regressive orcs. And that's what they've done. You see it.
Yeah. And it goes to exactly what you were saying in the beginning. It's not the children aren't born programmed. It's the layers and layers and layers and layers of programming that's within the uh, already that just the structure of the entities that are creating the children. They're passing this information on energetically.
Yes, epigenetics. This is science. It's
Exactly.
yes. This isn't woo-woo. This is all science.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is the concern. This is how I can't express the evil, monstrous nature of the
No.
syndicate company.
Well,
Because what they knew they had to do was genetically lock down this race, and they did. Like I said, like Semjase just said, we're on the top of the. So I don't know if they can be saved. I
mm,
don't. I know all of them cannot be, and that's from what's been done. It's like you can have. I guess in some pit bulls, they said there's a line of like blue. There's like a certain color of pit bull
mhm,
where they're like rage machines,
right,
and
right.
there's nothing you can do. It's in the genes. You have that here.
Well, isn't it true though that everyone has their exploration and there is no such thing as coming to Earth not knowing what the agenda is. You've chosen to have this exploration where you're going to be in this mind control system because, we all
Well,
actually
actually, well, so
created this to begin with, right?
actually, this is the concern for some of these beings because they actually didn't choose to come here. So you actually have, well, they kind of,
Mm.
she says they get looped.
Looped, yeah. But isn't that done? I thought that loop was
Done, but they
destroyed.
choose it. So they have this is what's, they're being turned into grays. The grays did this to themselves. So the Terrans on this planet, and there's a percentage of them, and we don't know what that percentage is,
Hmm.
that are not going to be salvageable. So they've been stretched. It's like, how do you fix a gray?
Hmm.
There's some gray that are, I'm talking about the Nebu type gray, right?
No.
They're gone. There's nothing you can do for them.
Okay, so you're saying they're just going to have to recycle back to source.
Well, right, there's nothing that we can do physically here,
Right.
or the ETs can physically do to them,
Hmm.
because they're not their genetic form. Yeah, we have to liberate the consciousness back to source. But see, when they die, when a lot of these Terrans die, they're not going back to source.
Hmm.
They're being looped. That's what religions did.
Right, right. Yeah. Get that.
Being
Yeah.
funneled, but it has to be choice. Everything has to be consent. Ah.
Hmm. Hmm.
So when they die, they've been fed religions.
Hmm.
They die in fear. So they go towards the light or whatever Virtual
Mm-hmm.
reality, the consciousness is shown.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's the
Mm-hmm.
soul trap,
Mm-hmm.
and they
Yeah.
choose it. So the soul trap isn't locking everyone down here. It's a choice. It's consent. They're consenting. And you have beings on this planet that have been consenting to looping and looping and looping for thousands of years. And that's sad. It's sad. It is what it is.
Yeah,
Okay.
super sad. So how do we address the hybridization agenda then? Because isn't that the goal to stretch, 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 stretch,
Yes.
stretch?
Yeah. She said yes. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I have an issue with those um extraterrestrials, whatever. I don't particularly
Well,
like
we're all
that term, but
extraterrestrials.
exactly, I don't like that term, but there
Because
are
there are many
agendas.
other planets that have gone through this that have actually been lost
Yeah,
through
so
synthetic.
the point that I'm making is there are civilizations, let's just put it this way, whose agenda is to hybridize.
Yes.
And to what end though? Is it in their idea, are they doing a positive thing or are they doing a negative thing to us? Like, where is the what is the point of the hybridization agendas? Like the we're hearing about them from certain representatives of different ET communities or cultures, right? Talking openly about hybridization and transhumanism, et cetera, et cetera. So I can't see this as anything that's going to bring humanity back to the purity and the innocence of who we are innately, right? So I'm interested in both, in all of your opinions on this, because this is we're at mission critical here now, and what I'm trying to do
Oh
is
yeah.
is is bring back the paradigm of that purity, that innocence, everything that we're talking about, the love, and
Yeah.
to rekindle that. And so that if enough of us focus
Yeah.
on that, then we're actually going to do something in the positive and not be at the brunt of these hybridization, transhumanization programs. I don't
Well,
know.
and that's why you're here. That's why there's a lot of us here.
Yeah.
There's a lot of us here that is our mission. We came
Mm-hmm.
in the soul trap loop. We came that because that was one of the ways. This Semjase is saying this is one of the critical problems with this planet. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
you're trying to save a humanoid race on
Mm-hmm.
Terra,
Mm-hmm.
Terra.
Mm-hmm.
That is being, it's a commercial purpose. She's saying so she's going to go back. I want to go back to the original question to describe exactly what they're doing, Renata. Right? She says so. It's not about good or bad. It's about commercial interest.
Okay.
Okay. And she says what they want to do is to create on this planet um, a, ma- that's me. Sorry, not
That's okay.
a managed race that they would commercialize. So you have, she says, they would use some to work as slaves or what have you to do. She says, well, right now she says it's true what you've heard. There's too many on this planet.
Mm-hmm.
She says a lot of that had to do with the insertions, which they didn't want to
Mm-hmm.
have. She says, but largely what their goal is, what the ultimate goal is to create a very profitable commercial, you know, facility here on this planet.
Mm.
And she says some of these beings, she says they want it because she says they need to turn them into synthetic beings.
Mm-hmm.
And some of these beings will be used as mercenaries. So
Mm-hmm.
what she says, it's a commercial. They're going to be used as in commerce. They're going to be traded as you already know now. They're
Mm-hmm.
going to be traded in the galaxy for different sort of almost robot type uses. It's
Okay.
the
Define insertions. I'm not sure. Are you talking about the non-player characters?
So she says the insertions are people like you, the people that are coming in here to try.
Oh, to help us.
Yep, yep.
Okay.
And we're the bad apples. We're the ones who are the moles and the cogs in the wheel. And there's a lot of us.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And she says the reason that we did this was because nothing could ever have been done for the ones here that were looping.
Mm.
So the people that you meet and know and see that aren't basically what we call NPCs. She said, what you guys want to call NPCs. Okay. Those are the ones that are going to be synthetic.
Right. Okay. That's what I was
So
thinking.
she says
Okay.
there's no such thing as a video game NPC. But it's a
No.
great term. She says those are the ones that have been in the loop system, and we don't. She's at this time. We don't know what to do with them.
Mm-hmm.
However, she says there are salvageable aspects of the Terran population. And the only way that they could, she says, to the best of our ability, be safe. She says, you have to understand, she's saying, she says, when you telepath, there's a lot of different.
Yeah,
She
it's
just
okay.
understand that not a lot of, there was not always a lot of interest in doing anything on this planet. So there is still now and has been a battle going on to create any kind of um, reclamation. So not a lot of beings upstairs wanted to reclaim this planet. They just let it go. We're going to let it go. And
Mm-hmm.
that's still going on. But she says she says part of the argument was to insert other ET races in here that had not been in the soul loop that still have memory. See, she says you never had your memories wiped. That's what she's saying. She says you never had your memory wiped. You just lost belief in it. She says that was the programming.
Mm-hmm.
For trying to get into you. And she says, she asked everyone just to remember because we always were there trying to knock their way in, but no one was picking up.
Yeah,
No.
this is a huge thing. This is huge, huge, huge. And I'm not sure, Semjase, how do we do that? I, for example, don't remember. I know I'm ancient, but I don't remember. I don't. So
She
how
says
can
you
I
just
get
did it. She
closer
says you
to that?
said you just know. She says you just said it. You just said who you are. She says you know you're ancient. That's it.
Mm,
She says
mm,
that's all you
mm,
need.
mm. So the details aren't important.
She's only if you want them to be. They're your
Mm,
details. They
mm,
belong to you.
mm, 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 mm. Well, again, that speaks to identity and duality, and that is the cause of most suffering, right? So, because humanity identifies itself as this or as that, I am this. I no, you're not. But
She says that's what they did. That's all part of the programming.
that's part of the whole
It was all,
homophily.
absolutely.
Yeah.
It was all part of the programming.
Did you hear? I think I shared that link with you, and I'm interested to have Eeka and Semjase also chime in on this. You know, 3i, right? 3i. And remember, I sent you the link to the gentleman who was on Dr. Sala's show who said that I think it's Martin Sebastian said it's
Sebastian
French.
Martin. Yeah,
Sebastian.
they won't talk about anyone. I know them.
Okay. So all
Yeah,
right,
they won't talk
I
about.
get that. I respect that.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
so is there any truth? I'll let you answer then. Any truth that 3i had was full of reptilians coming to harvest all the star seeds?
Psyop.
Saya.
But
Mm,
we are definitely a pain in the cabal's ass. I'll say that.
mhm, mhm,
And they have some blue beam plans that would be part of that.
mhm.
And they have players there that they've inserted. So actually, even the ETs have been infiltrated
Mm.
by these uh, double agents. So
Well, isn't that the
they have
basis of what was going on?
Karen and ET operators. So we're all ETs, right?
Mhm, yeah.
So the cabal is on and off planet. So they have operatives that are ET operatives and double agents, and they've influenced they've interfered with the benevolence, the alliance, and all the federations. They've interfered with that, and they've also interfered here, and they're being used now. So I will say the majority of the Terran ones don't know, number one, or are mind controlled. Then they
Are
are
you
meeting.
talking about the Terran star seeds?
So these would be Terran operatives working for the cabal, trying
Okay.
to trying to lead funnel the star seeds
Oh,
into
I
the.
see. I see. I see. I see
Yep,
what you're saying.
yep.
Okay. Yeah,
And
those
that's
those
a
guys.
massive campaign right now,
Yeah.
extremely dangerous.
Well, yeah.
And I don't think they know. I call them the Judas horses.
Right.
So they've been doing this for a while, but they're being mind controlled, V2K, virtual
Right.
realities.
Right.
And
Right.
they are meeting with ETs who are working for the cabal.
Mm-hmm.
And people just have to, you know, they're gonna, like, all the, people working upstairs are gonna, try to stop things as best they can.
Mm-hmm.
I don't actually see it happening. It could, but like I said, you don't know that. At the timeline now, the timelines could shift, it could happen. But that's what they're actually really driving home right now. Yeah.
Well, you mean the infiltration of star seeds and
The
all the
eradication of them, get rid of them.
eradication.
We're,
Uh-huh.
we're a problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad to know that we're a pain in the ass.
Oh
Thank you
yeah.
very
Yeah.
much.
They would prefer we were dead.
Yeah. Well,
But they can't kill us per se.
yeah.
You have to consent.
Yeah, exactly. So this is all right. So let's go back to what we can do and not focus on what they are trying to do.
Yeah. Well, I
So,
think, and she says, but knowing what they're doing
yes,
is important,
of course.
so then you don't fall prey to, that,
Of course, of course, of course. Yeah, eyes open,
Eeka's just in like
eyes
a
wide
hundred.
open.
Eeka, what you want to come on and say? He's like, he's just stressed.
Okay, yeah,
You always want to say, do not get in any craft.
that's right.
And he also says, you remember, they can create mimics and clones.
Mm-hmm,
So they could create a clone and mimic of him.
mm-hmm. Oh yeah, for sure.
Bring it to you and you think you're talking to Eeka, but it's not. So he says what we have planned is going to be last minute stuff. He says, so do not believe anyone you see in front of you that might be a mimic of a family or of a friend or lover. It's not. And they're all saying Semjase is nodding, and she's just saying, yeah. And I know Eeka's like, this is one of his, like, he's like really, and he tells you, and he's just telling people, you don't know what craft is what craft, basically. And don't fall for that. I feel the love from the trap bullshit. He
Right.
says that's mind control.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly.
Now, that's not saying, do I feel love when these people come in? Of course I do. Do I feel love when I tap into a Pleiadian craft? Of course I do.
Yeah.
They can mimic that.
Mm.
The craft that flew over Phoenix, the Phoenix Lights,
Mm-hmm.
that was military.
Mm. Yeah.
And it fed. All the people were, oh, it felt so peaceful. The people that were under that craft as it flew, they all felt peace. They all felt love. That was all mind
Yeah,
control.
that was synthetic love. That
That was
wasn't, yeah, that wasn't pure love.
So you
So,
have a lot of these people that are coming on talking about love. And I felt love when I was with this guy. And you got
mhm,
to be in love. And I'm radiating love. And I love you. And the lady. And I love the lady. And it's all, and I feel that's all synthetic.
exactly. And this is why I want to get to the bottom of this today is that difference. So, I mean, what I'm hearing
So
is
what they're both
somebody
trying to tell
saying,
you is,
remember who you are, remember who you are.
yeah,
When
she
you
says,
remember who you
she
are,
says, don't put yourself in that position. It's mind control. Okay.
mhm,
And,
mhm,
and, and it's really, really dangerous.
mhm,
And they take you over very quickly. So the both of them are just saying, just feel into your real context, right?
mhm,
And they also say, don't go into crowds, don't go into CE5s, don't go into conferences, and
mhm,
don't follow anybody. Follow
mhm,
your own guides.
mhm, mhm, mhm,
You have direct contact with and they're both saying that you have direct contact with your people. They said, if it feels off, if it's a red flag, go for it. They're saying, stop liking people. You know what I mean? That's what they're trying to say. Like, stop, like, creating fans and celebrities. And they're just saying,
mhm,
stop.
mhm,
We don't have that on Erra. We don't have
mhm,
celebrities.
mhm, mhm, mhm,
No one's looking up to somebody else. No one's like, oh, I
mhm.
really like this person and what that. No, we don't have that. There's just one-on-one communication. That's it.
Mm, mm, mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you see the love and the light within each other, and there is no reason to create a hierarchy, right? And
Right.
that's again, I keep going back to that purity. When the purity is present, then
Yeah.
there is no question about the integrity. There is no question about the actions. There is no question about the validity and the fortitude of the connection, right? So what I'm hearing,
She said if you're,
whoever's
she says if you're looking at, she says, she says people have to stop seeking celebrity. They have to stop seeking
Mhm.
outside themselves. They have to stop doom scrolling. She says they have to stop,
doom
you know,
scrolling.
looking for information on your internet. She says stop looking for information on your internet. She says that's not saying you don't watch stuff and learn from it, but she
Hmm.
says stop giving away, she says stop
Hmm.
worshiping. Even
Hmm.
at the littlest level,
Hmm.
you know,
Hmm. Hmm.
stop creating. She's saying stop creating gods and celebrities.
Hmm.
She says you need to stop doing that. She says they would not exist. They can't exist if everyone just stopped creating them.
Well, like giving them the energy instead of
Yeah,
believing in themselves.
absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. And what I keep hearing, I don't know who's talking to me, but whoever somebody wants to say they want to step in, and maybe it's one of you, stepping in to say to all of our listeners and viewers today,
Yeah.
remember who you are. And when you remember who you remember your purity, you remember your innocence. And then from that, everything else flows. You then have the discernment to know who's standing in front of you, whether it's a mimic or a mirror or
Yeah.
somebody who's what's the word I'm thinking of, who's trying to fool you, an imposter, that's the word I'm thinking of, right? So when you do remember who you are, look, I've got my own hand up here, isn't
I
that
was going to say,
interesting?
did you press that?
No, I think it happens when I, because I had my hand up, so it's,
Oh, no, I don't. I think they might have pressed it.
oh, okay, hi, okay,
I think they do that sometimes.
whoever
They
wanted
have
to
to.
talk,
Well,
maybe they
I'm
pressed
going to
it.
say it's Semjase because she has the technology. So Eeka doesn't have the technology I
Okay.
do. So they're not actually doing that themselves. I mean,
Yeah,
but they have technology that
they
can
can do that. Okay,
frequency.
okay. So anyway, was that true? Are you guys in alignment with that? So like what I said, to remember who you are. I mean,
She's
that's
she's
really our, okay.
she's clapping and he's like, yeah, absolutely. It's that, yeah. Well, that goes back to love and loving oneself.
Yes, yes.
That's how, and Ika did a whole comment. We did a whole series about love and
Mm-hmm.
what people are looking for in love. And he says you need to be the love that you're looking for. So he says, so as you see, he's saying this is a snow.
Mm.
When you're embodying the love that you want, and then you're expressing the same that love, right? And everybody does that, then that love is there. So everyone has to be on board for that. They have to be the person they want to experience, right? Now, the problem is when only a few people do that, you're not going to be in a love situation, you're going to be in a lack situation where the
Mm-hmm.
other person is a vampire feeding off of you. And that's largely what you get here. And that's what they've always said to me. It's like you have so much love that you gave here and you never received any of it back.
Mm.
And that's the case for a lot of people on this planet. So it's a love, I call it a loveless planet. So it's feeding off of our loves. But when you're in a relationship that's the correct one, like I have with Eka and what I'm saying, so there are some Terrans who have this relationship. It's and they showed me this. An elder showed me this. It's a symbiotic. It's
Mm.
that infinity.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm giving to him and he's giving to me, it's automatic. It isn't like this is what humans do, right? Oh, I gave you that.
Oh
You
yeah,
owe.
yeah.
I gave you that. Well, you owe me.
Quantitative, yeah, yeah.
Right. And that's not, this is an infinity loop of when I feel what he's doing for me and calming me down or in offering me the love, and then I offer that back.
Mm.
So he offers, I offer. He offers, I offer.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that's why we're not gonna have sex, because of my body problem. So I mean, emotionally, I love him, 100%. And but I know my body can't do this, and we have a so that the my life fractured me. They've made
Mm-hmm.
out,
Mm-hmm.
and he has no desire to be with that. I mean, to him, that's rape.
Yeah, of course, of course. Well, let's hope, and it's my great hope for you that if that's something that you want to overcome, that that happens for you soon, and
Okay? We're gonna go to
that
Arcturus. We're
you're
gonna go
gonna
to Arcturus.
what?
I'm gonna go to Arcturus. We're both actually. Ika still has a lot of
Oh,
baggage. So
Okay.
we're gonna go, we don't want to make it. This is another thing. See, we don't want to make a baby with our baggage.
Yeah. Wow.
But I have baggage and he has baggage.
But
We
you
would never.
see the responsibility here. This is so, this is mission critical for everyone to understand.
This is what Terrans don't understand. So they consider sex as like going skiing. It's not, especially if you're going to make a baby. Now, there's nothing wrong with people doing it as a sport. Please don't make a baby
Yeah.
because what's happening, and this is what they want, is you have dysfunction
Mm-hmm.
in the mating experience.
Mm-hmm. 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 Exactly.
That is where the epigenetics. So all of that
Yeah.
mess
Yeah.
that you have, if you're unhealed, if
Yeah.
you're an unhealed person,
Mm-hmm.
and there's this thing on earth where like, oh, everybody's unhealed. That's a problem. That's
Yeah.
not cool. If you're
A
unhealed,
big
that's
book.
in your genetics, right? And you're with somebody who's also unhealed, that's in their genetics. You two make a baby. What kind of baby do you think you're making?
Yeah.
You're making an aberration. And
Mm.
that's what they wanted. And that's what's happening here. And
Well,
that's
you're making a commodity for them to harvest. That's what you're.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
No responsibility, no thought, no nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Which is
Well,
why he's drying here, excuse me. Which is
yeah.
why we're not gonna have a baby
Yeah.
until we're both, that's common sense.
Yes. Exactly. Exactly.
Not only for us, but for this the survivability of your species. This is where you,
Exactly.
they're all mind controlled with all this la la woo woo shit that the Kabbalah CIA have fed people
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
they want to make sure everyone's dysfunctional and they're breeding in a dysfunctional manner.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That way you produce the fruit that they want.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that makes
It's the
sense.
one thing if Terran and again we're not going to reach a lot of Terrans and this is the problem is that we're still going to be having fodder that the cabal wants in negentropic, which is what negen this no, sorry, this is entropic epigenetic. Yeah, people don't
Oh.
understand this idea of free sex that everybody thinks is so
Mm-hmm.
wonderful. Oh, sex
Mm-hmm.
isn't magic, sex isn't special. Yeah, it is.
Oh, yeah.
Because when you have sex because you think it's a sport with someone, you're taking on their energy.
Mm-hmm.
And this is really stupid.
Yeah.
But Terrans seem to have a real problem with stupidity. And this I and this so the CIA actually infiltrated the 60s.
Right. Well, with the Beatles and all that, and the dissolution of the natural
Yes.
family, right?
Yeah.
They
Hold
yeah, that was yeah, to create this all of that promiscuity and
Yes.
yeah,
Right.
again, it's the that was the first blow to start taking down the purity, right? And
Absolutely.
yeah, and
We're
so
actually, like I said,
they've actually weaponized sex. That's what they.
there you go. Yeah, because it is exactly what they want, which is
Mhm,
loose sexual experiences means you're picking up. So
mhm,
you don't have a bond. You
mhm.
don't know who you're with, or you're
Yeah,
drunk.
yeah.
Or I mean, they've layered it. They've created drugs. They created drink. So you have people who are drunk, they're on drugs, and they're doing this. And then I heard people who said there's nothing wrong with prostitution. There's everything wrong with prostitution
Yeah, of course.
because you're taking into your body really nasty energy.
I'll just ask a question. Animals, do they have hookers?
Oh,
No. Right? Hello.
no,
Why would nature
they
do
don't have
something like that?
dysfunction. It's
Mm-hmm.
not in nature. There's no
Mm-hmm.
dysfunction
Yeah,
in nature.
exactly.
No,
Anyway, the thing is, yeah, before we start to, I don't want to keep
actually, I
you.
know
I could talk to you for
I gotta run
another
out. I gotta
month.
go. I gotta close my.
I
I
know.
have,
So,
I have to wrap it up. Yeah.
so given where we're at, all the beautiful things we've discussed this and some of the stuff that it hasn't been so beautiful. And I want to thank you all. And this has just been the most incredible gift for me today.
They're like that.
How do we, where do we see this going and what can we do? I mean, we've said, remember who you are, but final words, Semjase, Eeka, from your hearts to all of our listeners.
Yeah. They said, that they understand that they understand. They've seen the, you know, the struggle that's here, right?
Mhm.
And Semjase is saying, keep in mind that, we're not walking away. She's, no one's walking away. There's a bunch of us that are not going to walk away. And that's why you're here. She says, you're not going to walk away either. You got to fight and fight and fight until it's over.
That's right.
And she says, just to have, you know, a positive, she says, one of the things you can do that really, and she don't mean hopium or
Mhm.
spiritual bypassing type baloney. She just means just staying focused, staying in the fight, keeping your eye on, getting this done. She's in that sense, hope, right? She's saying that way, And is there anything else you wanted? She says communicate. She says learn how to
Mm.
communicate. Learn how to communicate. She says, and again, just spread the word. She's saying use this stuff, the technology down here. She says just keep fighting, just keep spreading the word, just keep putting it out there. So she's all right. So I'm gonna go to him. What do you all right, what do you have to say to people? He says, so Eco's like, he's I love you. And he says, I'm just one man. And that's not a lot of love. But he's like to feel into that, to feel it, to try to feel into love.
Mm.
And he says you can be in a really low place, but just to feel into that, just to
Mm.
know that it's there.
Mm.
Real love, he says, he says
Mm.
to feel that. And when with your animals, with people that you're with,
Mm.
he says, even just being it yourself. He always says that, just being the love yourself, even though you're in struggle. Maybe he says sometimes he says, maybe you're the love you need. Um, and he knows, he knows what hell looks like. He's been there. So
Mhm.
it's but he says that he wants to just echo again what Semjase was saying. He says we're all in this together. He says that's the main takeaway. He says we're all in this together. You want me to say what? So there's a song that a commander gave one of our members, and it's Kings and Queens,
Mm.
and it's a pop song, right?
Okay.
So yeah, and he says, look at the words of Kings and Queens. You're not here fighting alone. And also what we dream of, if all of the kings had their queens on the throne, we would
Mm.
pop champagne and raise a toast. So that's the goal. And he says, and then what the words, as this other man said in that song, you're not here fighting alone. You're not here dancing alone.
Mm.
We're dancing with you. So,
Mm. Mm. Wow. Well, thank you so, so much. And also, I just want to remind everyone that that it was through Dr. Andrea's assistance and her encouragement, and I'm sure by way of Eeka and Semjase
yeah, they
Free Me Portal, right?
well, they saved me from the grave. If it wasn't for these two and
Wow.
my friend Louise Jones,
Yeah.
I would
Wow.
have.
Yeah. Yeah. And in a way, yeah. And so I just wanted to acknowledge that Free Me Portal, everything that we're doing is rooted in finding that truth again so that people can come there and reach out and become themselves again, their true selves, to find their alignment. So I just wanted to thank you for that, because you're the genesis of that. And
Well, Semjase just said in Renata, you're gathering. She says this is key.
mm,
You're gathering people in power, not in weakness. So
mm,
she says comes to you in their power, like a council,
mm,
as opposed to on their knees worshiping. And
exactly.
critical difference. She says that's the critical difference.
Exactly, because it's free me portal, not free me. Like free me. Hi, I'm free. So in strength and joy, thank you so much. What a beautiful gift for everyone today. I appreciate that so, so, so much.
It was
And
rock and roll.
rock and roll. And we'll see you in the ethers, Andrea. Thank you, my dear. Always a joy.
It was an honor to be here today with you, Renata, of course.
Aw, thank you. All right, everyone. Till next time.
Bye then.
Thank you.